If there's one thing I miss a lot from the Zelda series, it's the companions and sidekicks that Link has met on his many journeys. Strangers that quickly become friends over what is usually an emotional and epic adventure to save the Kingdom of Hyrule or other lands. The hero's many companions range from characters that are by his side for the entirety of his quest, sidekicks that help him out with specific tasks, and even the occasional temporary companion like Medley. The point is, the Zelda series offers us a wide variety of companions to work with, and although Breath of the Wild lacked that companionship due to the world taking place in a lonely, post-apocalyptic Hyrule, I thought it would be fun to take a look back at some of the series' best companions. Of course, this will be ranked on my own personal experiences and judgment on how much each companion contributes to Link's quest. Feel free to leave your thoughts and picks at the end of the video. Anyway, go grab yourself a snack or drink and let's get into the companions. Number 5. LINEBECK. Our opening pick takes us to the swashbuckling sailor that is LINEBECK. Captain LINEBECK is one of Link's companions in The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, an extremely underrated Zelda game if I do say so myself. This adventure is a sequel to The Wind Waker, continuing Link's quest at sea. He washes up on a small island called Murky Island, and after venturing the island a little and getting the story underway, he meets Captain LINEBECK inside the Temple of the Ocean King, the captain of the SS LINEBECK steamboat. Link strikes a deal with LINEBECK to team up. This results in Link and LINEBECK venturing the world of the Ocean King's sea. Phantom Hourglass heavily revolves around sailing the world, in a very similar fashion to how important sailing is in The Wind Waker. LINEBECK isn't by Link's side for the entire game. In fact, he is mostly there just for helping Link in travelling the sea. There are a few segments where he joins Link in venturing the depths of the game's islands and dungeons, but his main role is sailing. Unlike The Wind Waker, Link doesn't have his own boat to sail in, and LINEBECK is essential to the game's story. Oh, and you can even customize this ship, which is a really cool detail. Along with all of that, he also has an awesome ending to the game. Near the end of the game, the final boss Bellum, who is controlling the ghost ship, sinks the SS LINEBECK, and further possesses LINEBECK himself to fight Link with. Link just manages to fight off the possessed LINEBECK, and eventually take out Bellum as well, but what happens next shocks every player. At the end of the game, Oshis is prepared to offer LINEBECK the treasure he had desired for a long time, but instead he overcomes his greed and wishes for his sunken ship to be recovered, and his wish is granted. The game ends with LINEBECK sailing away into the distance, firing his horn as he goes. That is the end of LINEBECK's story, but his legacy of bravery and kindness is honoured in The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, the game directly after Phantom Hourglass. In Spirit Tracks, we can find the grave of LINEBECK, revealing to us that he went on to move to the new land of re-established Hyrule and settled down and made a family there. We also meet his grandson, LINEBECK III, who strongly resembles his legendary grandfather. Number 4. Navi. Call yourself a Zelda fan and don't know who Navi is? You should be ashamed. Jokes aside, Navi is by far one of the most iconic sidekicks in the Zelda series, for both the right and wrong reasons.
Hey! Listen! Hey! Listen! Hey! Listen!
Navi is Link's companion in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and they meet at the very beginning of the game. The game opens up with Navi being assigned the role of accompanying Link by the Great Deku Tree. We then see her fly through the magical Kokiri Forest, giving us an early look at the village Link lives in, and then she goes to wake Link up. In classic Zelda fashion, Link is of course sleeping at the beginning of the game. Every child of the Kokiri Forest has their own fairy companion, all but, until this point, Link. Some of the other children even teased Link for not having a fairy until Navi came along. Navi joins Link in his ultimate quest to take out Ganondorf and save Hyrule from being taken over and corrupt by his evil ways. Her main contribution to the hero is giving him helpful tips and tricks to navigate the world, which also doubled as a useful feature to get used to 3D gaming, as Ocarina of Time was the first 3D Zelda game and one of the first 3D action games in general. Navi gets a bad rep for her eagerness to be helpful, and that's understandable, as sometimes this little fairy wants to help her a little too much. Yeah, she can go a bit overboard on all of the "hey, listen" callouts, but she isn't that bad. In my opinion, Navi is one of the more subtle companions, but due to her knowledge she provides Link with in the form of tips, earns her my number 4 spot. Number 3. The King of Red Lions. Now for one of the most awesome companions in the series, especially in terms of the lore behind them. The King of Red Lions is a small red boat found in the Wind Waker. Link meets this boat after being launched out of the Forsaken Fortress by the Helmrock King. Upon first impressions, the King of Red Lions is nothing more than a magical talking boat carved into the design of a lion, painted red. This lion offers Link help in saving his lost sister by sailing Link across the Great Sea, from island to island, but as the story progresses, we begin to learn that this isn't any ordinary boat. We discover that it can speak the language of ancient Hylian, the language spoke by those who lived in the past kingdom of Hyrule, which is now deep below the sea as it was flooded by the gods many ages ago to protect the kingdom. Late in the game, we discover that the King of Red Lions is actually the King of Hyrule, King Daphnis no Hansen Hyrule, the man who once ruled the mighty kingdom of Hyrule that is now flooded deep below the sea. The entire time, from when Link meets the King of Red Lions early on in the game, he has really been under the wing of the King of Hyrule. This, in my opinion, is one of the biggest plot twists in Zelda history, and to cap it all off, at the end of the game, after Ganondorf is sealed in stone, the king decides to remain in Hyrule, as water begins to cave in on him, to stay with his kingdom, his past, his life. That was the last we ever saw of this courageous king, and that's what earns him my number 3 spot. Number 2. EZLO. Moving to my favourite 2D Zelda game, and probably my second favourite overall right now, the Minish Cap. This game revolves around Link shrinking down to the size of a thumbtack to work with the Picori, a minuscule race of people who live in the footsteps of Hyrule. Link meets EZLO fairly early in the game. The game opens up with Link going to the Picori festival with childhood friend Zelda, but the festival is struck by disaster. An evil mage known as Vati interrupts part of the festival and breaks open a ceremonial chest containing unheard of evils into the kingdom of Hyrule. He turns Princess Zelda to stone and knocks Link down before vanishing into thin air. This is where Link sets off in his quest, the quest to defeat Vati. He's told to venture towards the Minish Woods, which is where he bumps into what looks like a bird? Being attacked by a couple of red Octoroks. That weird looking thing is EZLO, a cap who can talk to Link. What is it with this series and objects being able to talk? He latches onto Link's head, basically forcing him into partnership with him, which is one of the things I love about him. EZLO allows Link to shrink down to the size of the Minish, exactly what he needs in order to enter the Minish village, but the story gets more interesting. You see, eventually we learn the backstory of EZLO. It turns out that Vati, the evil mage plaguing the kingdom of Hyrule this time around, was once EZLO's apprentice. Back in the day, long before EZLO met Link, he was a well-renowned Minish craftsman who was working on the mage's cap, a magical cap that would grant the wearer their dearest wishes. It was intended to be a gift for the humans, but his apprentice Vati, who was once also a peaceful Minish, stole it and used its divine powers to transform himself into a powerful sorcerer. A sorcerer of evil. In doing so, he also turned EZLO into a cap, mocking him by turning him into what he had been creating. I'm getting some serious Anakin and Obi-Wan vibes here, master and apprentice much. Link and EZLO team up to tackle the evils released into the world by Vati, and eventually take out Vati himself. It's then that EZLO can return to his true self, and for the first time, Link sees EZLO in his true MINISH form. To make things even more special, before the MINISH door closes for another 100 years, EZLO provides Link with a cap similar to the form he took on during their time together, a reminder of their close friendship. EZLO is by far one of the most lovable companions in the series. He loves to tease and wind Link up, but also help him with tips regarding the MINISH and just be an all-round great friend to Link. That's why he takes my number 2 spot, only second to this next companion. Before unveiling the number 1 spot, here are a few honourable mentions. Tattle from Majora's Mask, Fi from Skyward Sword, and Medley from the Wind Waker's Earth Temple. Number 1. Midna. Here we go, a pick from my all-time favourite video game, The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Midna, the Twilight Princess. This little shadow spectre imp is Link's devious companion in Twilight Princess. They meet a little bit into the story after Link's home village of Ardyn is invaded by Bulblins, who kidnap the village children. Link chases after them in a desperate attempt to stop the attackers, only to be confronted by a massive wall of shadowy twilight matter. A dark hand lunges through and pulls Link into the darkness, and to our horror, a monstrous shadow beast drags him away. He later wakes up inside the cells of Hyrule Castle, but as a wolf. This is where we meet Midna. She appears with a determined and mischievous attitude, but more importantly, a somewhat willingness to help Link escape. One of the things I love most about Midna is that at first, she only really cared about her own agenda and had little thought for Link, merely using him for her own good. But as the story develops, the pair become closer and closer. As Link and Midna learn more and more about each other, Midna eventually comes to want to help Link as well as herself, and so they team up in order to take out the evil threatening Hyrule this time around. Link and Midna go through thick and thin together, across the entire land and even other realms. Link even saves her from death following a curse placed on her by Zant. Midna offers a few different abilities to Link, most notably the ability to transform between Hylian and Wolf Link after restoring Hyrule from the Twilight infection, along with teleporting Link around the world via the Twilight portals. The backstory of Midna is that she was once the ruler of the Twilight realm. She was the Twilight Princess. The ancient sages banished the King of Evil, Ganondorf, to the Twilight realm to stop him from damaging Hyrule any further, within which he teamed up with a Twilight dweller known as Zant. Together they overrun Midna and booted her from the throne, stripped her of her powers and sent her to Hyrule to rot. What they didn't take into account was her running into and building a friendship with the hero, Link. Together, Link and Midna set out to destroy Zant and Ganondorf in order to restore peace to Hyrule. But whilst they do restore that peace, unfortunately, at the end of the game, Midna leaves for home, the place she once resided in peace, the Twilight realm. The same place she once ruled, now ruling again. Midna is by far my favourite companion in the Zelda series because of the emotional bond herself and Link create on their journey, only to be heartbroken at the end of the game. Thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on the best companions in the Zelda series. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more smashing Zelda content. Be sure to let me know in the comments who your favourite companions are and why. I look forward to reading your choices. As always, huge thanks to all of my wonderful Patreon supporters for your generous support. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to become one of my patrons and get your name featured at the end of every video of mine, then head over to my page through the card in the top right or link in the description. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.